Hello, BookTube. I've got a little mail for you today on a beautiful Thursday here in Boston at the beginning of October. A nice, hot, humid midsummer day here in Boston. Uh, we've got a couple of periodicals and then a bunch of packages, and the periodicals are the same. They are two issues of the Times Literary Supplement, the TLS. I missed. I guess this often happens where I will miss a week and then both issues will show up the next week. Uh, so this is the September 20th issue and the September 27th issue, and there's a lot to be found in here. There's a lot of stuff in here that is reviews that I want to read, also reviews of books that I want to get. I want the books themselves, but I went to the letters page. The letters pages, the ongoing theme, thread, discussion, sometimes this will happen in the TLS, they encourage it in their letters pages, is about book pricing, specifically the Oxford University Press titles that are obscenely expensive, but the discussion has been broadening into other ways in which books are just obscenely expensive. But there was one letter that struck me, especially in conjunction with a letter that came in the next issue. And it's about Israel and Palestine, which ought to be on the minds of every single person in the world right now, given the givens, given the events that are happening. This letter is from a writer in Berkeley. And I have to say, no offense to, not meaning to paint Berkeley with a broad brush, but boy does this read like it comes from someone in Berkeley. Tony Klug's review of books about Israel and Palestine omits one crucial fact bearing on the claim that Israel is a colonial settler state. The predominant population among Israeli Jews is Mizrahi, Jews from the Middle East and their descendants, not Ashkenazi, which are those from Europe. An analysis published in the Journal of Ethnic and Migration Studies in 2018 finds that 45% of the Israeli Jews Mizrahi, 32% Ashkenazi, 8% mixed, with the remainder from Ethiopia and the Soviet Union. Israel's Middle Eastern Jewish population is largely the result of the expulsion of an estimated 900,000 Jews from the Arab Middle Eastern countries, most of whom went to Israel. Between 1948 and 1951 alone, 260,000 Jews from Iraq, Libya, and Yemen were pushed to Israel, leaving their assets and property behind. Jews were also expelled from longtime homes in Egypt, Syria, Algeria, and Morocco. Israel took in many European refugees after the Holocaust, yet it is undeniably a state of Jewish refugees from the Middle East and their descendants. Though it does not excuse Israel's actions in Gaza, Israel is in fact more like a refugee state. It sure as hell sounds like you're trying to excuse Israel's actions in Gaza, to say nothing of Israel's expulsion of Palestinians. While all of these Jews were being expelled from all the Arab countries in the region, Jews were also expelling people from their homes and properties. It sounds, the author doesn't come right out and do it, but that sounds an awful lot like the current and fatal infection in the American political system, which is called whataboutism, where you take where you attempt to excuse an evil by another evil. But Israel and Palestine comes up again in the letters page of the following issue. And I haven't read all the contents of these issues, but I go straight to the letters page for fun. Although in this case, it's not. This letter comes from a writer in London, also about Tony Klug's piece. And it's a little bit more hard-hitting, and I wonder what the rest of you will think about it. Whereas Tony Klug's analysis of recent books dealing with the Israeli-Palestine conflict is fairly balanced, there are a few elephants in the room that are not mentioned in order to ultimately put the onus on Israel to resolve the current conflict. To perceive the situation as a purely territorial issue is, and always has been, misguided. This is a religious war, proclaimed daily by Hamas and its main supporter, Iran. The West ignores this at its own, and especially Israel's, peril. This next paragraph is stunning. I have never heard it put so succinctly and so directly. We'll see what you think. The West's obsession with peace deals and ceasefires is an aberration that does not reflect reality. Hamas, Hezbollah, Iran, and Syria have never talked about a two-state solution. They don't want a two-state solution. They do not want a peace deal. They want only one thing, the elimination of Israel. Jews are religious enemies to be eliminated. No wonder the Grand Mufti was an admirer of Hitler and emulated his propaganda rhetoric in the 1930s. That rhetoric of extermination still prevails. No one is talking about creating a peaceful Palestinian state. Only us. There is ample proof of this. When Ariel Sharon removed all Jews from Gaza, the Palestinian citizens had an opportunity to build a prosperous little state living peacefully side by side with Israel. There was a real opportunity to show Israel what a two-state solution could be like. What happened? A majority voted in their leaders Hamas, whose sole agenda then and now is the destruction of Israel. Hamas spent the next 7 years turning Gaza into a military base, armed and financed by Iran, with hundreds of kilometers of tunnels, purposely using the population of Gaza as human shields for all of their operations. This has led to the October 7th massacre, which has in turn led to Israel's moral obligation to protect its citizens by destroying Hamas and making sure it cannot rearm itself in the future. This is a tragedy for both the Gaza population and Israel, but what is the alternative? Hamas knows very well that Western public opinion will turn against Israel, and some Western media and campuses have become Hamas's effective allies. Hiding in the Gaza tunnels, waiting for Israel to get more blame for what is going on, is the strategy. That is the plan that Hamas thinks will ultimately allow the destruction of Israel. All this is pure anti-Semitism. The Jews are always to blame. The Jewish deaths are at best always minimalized or at worst justified. Whatever the outcome of this impossible conflict, it will probably be awful. And again, that is as clearly put as the letter from Berkeley, but again, I wonder what the author's leaving out and why. In order to take this letter at face value, the author is completely right. Hamas wants no Jews in the world. Hamas doesn't care about a state or infrastructure or getting groceries to the grocery stands in the stall so that you can buy things for your family. Hamas wants to eliminate Jews from the world. But the moral imperative spoken of in that second letter on Israel's part to defend its citizens, what moral imperative is there to murder 10,000 children? There cannot be a moral imperative to murder 10,000 children. If you abandon the morals that you claim your enemy has abandoned in order to get at your enemy, I think it's fascinating. These letters side by side are fascinating, and never more so than in the light of current events, where it looks more, I know we say this every season, but it looks more and more like a gigantic conflict might kick off from the Middle East. A conflict in which everyone who's listening to me is involved. In one way or another, we would all be involved. If Israel goes to war with Iran, then America goes to war with Iran against Russia, and so on and so forth. The dominoes that are familiar from World War I. I find letters like this fascinating. I know that when we get to periodicals like this, I should concentrate on the trivia because it's a lot of fun. And I will next time, I promise. Those two stuck out to me, and that's what I use these videos for, just to tell you what sticks out to me here as a lonely old shut-in on my couch. So let's look at the mail. So we'll do this. This first package is wee and slim, and it doesn't seem like it comes from a publisher, but I thought we covered that last time. So let's see what we have here. Oh, great. Oh, fantastic. Oh, boy, that was fast. Okay, great. This is comes out next year. This comes out in January. This is Eddie Huffman's biography of Doc Watson. This is not for me. This is going out to a freelancer to review this. So let's see here. Arthur Doc Watson, who lived from 1923 to 2012, is arguably one of the most influential musicians Appalachia has ever produced. A musician's musician, Doc grew up on a subsistence farm in North Carolina mountains during the Depression, soaking up traditional music and learning to play guitar even though he was blind. Rising to fame in the 1960s as part of the burgeoning folk revival scene, Doc became a face of traditional music for many listeners, racking up multiple Grammys and releasing dozens of albums over the course of his long career. So, I don't know how many biographies this person has had. I don't know this subject matter at all. Some of you must know this figure a lot better than I do. Has he had other biographies, or is this the first one? Well, either way, that's going out. That's great. That's going out in the mail. Kudos to the folks at North Carolina Press, I believe this is. Yeah, the University of North Carolina Press. Kudos for the fast action. All right, so that'll go out in the mail to a freelancer. So let's look at these other things. The last time we did mail, I said at the beginning of the mail haul that I would try to look at these things from the perspective of a reviewer and an editor, and immediately forgot that I had said that, and so did not do so. I'll try to remember that here. So let's see. Oh, this next one has 3 things in it. Okay. Oh, the package is out of my reach now, so I don't know who sent this. Let's see if we can. See if we can grab this thing. I should know better than to toss the packages. Okay. All right. These are indie books. Let's take a look at this one here. The other 2, I don't really know what they are, so we'll leave those aside. They look like they're going to be mysteries to be solved. But this one looks like a book. This is by Martin Moore-Eade, and it is The Light Doctor, using light to boost health, improve sleep, and live longer. You wouldn't think that you could use light to improve sleep. So let's see. Healthy Lighting Pioneer. The author is a healthy lighting pioneer. Reveals that today's LED and fluorescent lights are designed for energy efficiency and not for human health. Their blue-rich light at night underlies the current epidemics of obesity, diabetes, heart disease, and cancer. Here is the practical information you need to find healthy lights that counteract these risks at home, in business, and in medical offices, and in public spaces, hospitals, and care facilities. Ooh, how interesting. You hear all about the problems of so-called blue light from the tech bros, who are talking about why they prefer reading on an e-ink screen as opposed to an LED screen, an iPad or something like that. You hear all about it from them. The author is a leading expert on the circadian clocks, light, and health at Harvard University Medical School. Okay, well, that's fascinating. Like I said, I hear all about that subject from tech people, but this will be the first time to learn about it. That's wonderful. All right, so let's move on to this next one here. These are all taped up rather well. Glad I have the scissors present here. Let's see here. But remember, you young folks and young at heart folks, when you're done with the scissors, put them back where they belong. Don't put them down somewhere and figure you'll get to them. It's a good way to impale yourself. You won't get to them. Oh my. Oh my. Oh, you're kidding me. Okay. All right. Okay. This is by Mary Dobbins-Beck and Tim Dobbins-Beck. This is Nauset Light, A Personal Legacy. And this is indie published. It's got color pictures throughout. That picture was Mary. And are we going to have a picture of Tim? That was Mary from a long, long time ago. That was a picture from when Mary was a beautiful young woman. From 1974. That's from 1974. Breathing the life, just breathing health. Just I don't see any pictures of Tim. Well, anyway, let's read the back here. This is wonderful, absolutely wonderful. Prior to her death from cancer in 2001, the author Mary Dobbins-Beck lived through several profoundly moving experiences, including the relocation of the Nauset Lighthouse in 1996, and later of her private, personally owned, and much beloved Keeper's House in 1998. As a talented writer and author, she conscientiously maintained a regular real-time journal, which, together with her frequent contributions to the Keeper's House logbook, comprised a captivating and vital record for those 2 historic events not previously documented from the standpoint of an intimately involved eyewitness. Mary's extraordinary role in determining the ultimate fate of Nauset Light Keeper's House and the legacy she left for Cape Cod and its people through the selfless donation of her most cherished possession is recounted by her co-author and brother, Tim. who was lovingly recruited by Mary to take the reins and manage the property through the terms of the Dobbinspecks family's temporary private dwelling use permit extending to 2024. And there is Tim on the back. Okay, fantastic. Fantastic. This has all sorts of color illustrations. Oh no! Oh my God! You're kidding me! Was that Clipper and Polly? Let me see. Oh my God! It is. Oh, look at that! Not a leash in sight. Boy, oh boy. Okay. This is going to be incredible. This is just going to be incredible. Fantastic. Don't know why I got this, but this is going to be incredible. Okay, so that is Nauset Light. A lot of you on this channel over time have heard me praise the book The House on Nauset Marsh by Wyman Richardson. It's an area of Cape Cod, which is a spit of land extending out into the ocean off the coast of Massachusetts. That is fantastic. Nauset Light. Okay, great. All right, let's move on here. Let's move to this next one here. Let's see here. Oh, fantastic. Boy, oh boy, this is also pretty quick doing. That's fine by me. That is wonderful. This is the new holiday book by an absolute institution in the romance world, Debbie Macomber. This is her book, A Christmas Duet. A gorgeous little thing. The cover is embossed, the lettering is embossed, and you also get this. Because it is understood among her fans that her books are special. That you might want to give it to someone, you might want to keep it in the family. So this is a Christmas novel from Debbie. Let's see here. What is the story going to be? Haley Morgan's life has always revolved around music. She once had big dreams of becoming a professional songwriter, but reality has led her to working as an assistant high school band teacher in Portland. As the holidays approach, she dreads the annual tradition of spending Christmas with her family and dodging her mother's meddling questions about her love life. When Haley's close friend offers her the use of her family's empty cabin for a rejuvenation solo holiday retreat, she decides to finally do something to make herself happy. However, her arrival in the small town of Podunk, Oregon, is anything but peaceful when she discovers the cabin has been invaded by several wild animals. Luckily, Jay, the son of the town's general store proprietor, and an incredibly handsome and charming former musician to boot, is willing to help. Soon, Haley and Jay are nearly inseparable, chopping down and decorating a Christmas tree, sipping hot cocoa in front of a cozy fire, and best of all, playing music together. Jay's positive feedback and encouragement inspire Haley to believe she might succeed as a songwriter after all. But even in her snow-dusted oasis, family holiday drama still finds Haley, interrupting and threatening her newfound peace and confidence. Meanwhile, revelations from Jay present complications of their own. Suddenly her Christmas paradise has become a winter storm, and Haley must weather the challenges to stand up for herself and embrace the holiday spirit. And there is our author, easily, hands down, the single nicest author in the world. Certainly the nicest author in the romance world, which is full, from front door to back, with genuinely nice people. Hands down. And that description touches on a theme that runs through all of Debbie Macomber's books, which is not necessarily just finding love, finding romance, but that mention of Haley's blossoming confidence. It's never enough in a Debbie Macomber book that the main character finds love. They must also find their own passion. And the two will not be the same. With any luck, the love will reinforce the passion, but the passion is entirely personal. And wonderful. It's wonderful to read. She's really good at writing about the awakening of seemingly dead dreams. Absolutely. I don't have a sheet for this, so I don't know the date for it, but it doesn't matter. It absolutely doesn't matter. How lovely that... who's the publisher here? Ballantine. How lovely they decided to just notice that these things are the incredibly loved keepsakes that they've been for years. That's what this is designed to be. That's terrific. That is just terrific. Okay. Great, fantastic. All right. I mean, it's a Christmas duet, but I'd be willing to bet that it comes out long before then. We will see here. Okay, this next package is not behaving. None of you are paying attention anyway. You're just looking at the bean. You're not looking at me. Let's see what we have here. I knew you'd have an invoice. Oh, great. Okay, fantastic. Right. Is this from Princeton? Yeah, the folks at Princeton University Press. This is by Roger Pasquier. I think we've talked about this already. I don't think we've seen the physical book here yet, but the subject is fascinating. This comes out next year, I think. Yeah, February. This comes out in February. This is Birds at Rest, the behavior and ecology of avian sleep, which I don't know much about avian sleep. A long, long time ago, for a long time, I had a parakeet. And I was very affectionate with that animal. I was very affectionate with that parakeet. And I don't sleep, so I was able to observe that bird in all of its different moods and whatnot, and determined a lot about its waking and sleeping habits. But that was a long time ago, and just one bird, and a domestic bird at that. So this will be all about wild birds, I would imagine. That parakeet. I had affection for that parakeet. I did. But the funniest story about that parakeet is a little bit macabre. We kept the parakeet in a cage in the kitchen, and at night we would put a covering over the cage so that the parakeet wasn't disturbed by drafts or by any kind of secondary light or anything like that. And then in the morning, me sainted Ma would get up first. She would be in the kitchen first. I would hear her getting up and going into the kitchen to get the kitchen started, as she put it. So make sure that everything is set for dishes. Get the stove running. Get the coffee running. Get the food made. Get the kitchen running, which was pretty clearly a euphemism on her part for getting herself running. That was how she got herself up and running. But she left the unveiling of the cage to me, because the bird was kind of mine. So she left that for me. Sometimes she would report that the bird would wake up and gently start murmuring and chirping when it heard her, but the bird only really started chortling and making noises once I'd opened the curtains and we'd seen each other. And one morning, I came down to the kitchen, and the blanket was off the bird cage, and I looked inside, and the parakeet was gripping one of the rowels in the middle of the cage, but it was hanging upside down. The parakeet was hanging upside down, wings tucked in, head cocked back like that, beak open. And I stared at the thing for a minute, then I looked at my ma, and she said, "I think it's dead." Yeah, they don't tend to do that when they're alive. Don't get me wrong. I felt sorry, but I think I made just a face at the time. But for decades since, I crack up when I remember that. I think it's dead. But anyway, so let's see. I'm doing it again. Let's read about this book. This is the first book to give a full picture of how birds rest, roost, and sleep, a vital part of their lives. It features new science that can measure what is happening in a bird's brain over the course of a night and when it has flown to another hemisphere, as well as still valuable observations by legendary naturalists such as John James Audubon, Alfred Russel Wallace, and Theodore Roosevelt. Much of what they saw and what ornithologists are studying today can be observed and enjoyed by any birder. From the poles to the tropics, how, when, and where birds sleep reflect the ecology and behavior of each species, as well as of their evolution from dinosaur ancestors. Some things never sleep. Except Some things do sleep. It has been as quiet as a churchyard here all day. But anyway. Uh, uh, anyway, some sleep briefly, their brain half awake, and others spend long, cold nights in torpor. A few can sleep while flying. Their roosting habits are also varied. Most birds sleep alone, some in pairs or families, while others in flocks of millions. This explains how each strategy works over the course of a season, a year, or a lifetime, by providing protection, mating opportunities, and information about food and other survival benefits. And the author is a lifelong birder who had a career at BirdLife International, the World Wildlife Fund, and Environmental Defense Fund, and the National Audubon Society, and is currently director of the Department of Ornithology at the American Museum of Natural History. Good Lord. Okay. So what do we have here in the way of illustrations? Oh, all right. Well, the one illustration that I found is actually an illustration. It's actually a drawing. It's a finished copy, really, that will tell us what we're going to get for that, though. I guess that doomed parakeet, I think it's dead. But also my sparrows. Now that I think about it, I know a lot about their habits as well. They are active all day long, from dawn until dusk. They are active, out and about, flying everywhere, and then they all bed down together in the siding of the house. They all bed down together and all at the same time and all night long. They're not active at all during the night. So I wonder if sparrows will be in here. We've got the flamingos. I think I saw an ostrich as well. So anyway, that's our male plus an ear-piercing siren. We have birds at rest. We have a Christmas duet, a music theme, Debbie Maycomber, about Christmas. We have Nauset Light, the diaries of the Nauset Light keeper. We have the Light Doctor, where apparently this doctor is going to link an array of serious health problems to not having the right light bulbs in your apartment. I wonder what sense he'll make. That's very interesting to think about. And finally, a biography of Doc Watson that is going out the door at the earliest opportunity. So there is the mail plus the TLS taking up the question of Israel and Palestine, which the later of those two letters, the longer of those two letters, about the virulent anti-Semitism of Hamas and Hezbollah and Iran and Iraq and and Saudi Arabia and every other place in the region. That longer letter, I think, is going to spark a discussion. We'll see. I'm always on the lookout for ongoing discussions in the TLS letters pages. We'll see. I don't know that I'll read the rest of it to you because it's a fairly grim subject, and you don't come here for grim subjects. But I'd be willing to bet that that's what will happen. Anyway, that is the mail for today. So I will wrap this up, and I will see you soon. Thank you, BookTube.